Your name and your constituency, sir.
My name is Honorable Olubumi Tunji-Ojo. I represent the good people of Akoko Northeast and Akoko Northwest Federal Constituency. I'm from Ondo State, and by the grace of God, I'm the chairman of the House Committee on the Niger Delta Development Commission, Nddc. Well, it's unfortunate that these allegations are coming. These allegations, as I've always said, are blackmails. And it's surprising because I became chairman of this committee. I was inaugurated as chairman in September last year. And between September and now, I can say categorically that not a kobo of contract has been awarded for emergency. So I don't know how that figure, how that assertion came into being. That's number one. And number two, it's laughable because the IMC themselves came into play in October last year, a month after I became the chairman of the House Committee. So if I became chairman in September, and the IMC themselves came into being in October, and the IMC himself, the same Dr. Cairo said on Arise TV that they have not awarded a single contract since they came on board. So how did 1 trillion, 2 trillion, or whatever trillion, how was that awarded? So obviously this is just sheer blackmail. We expected this from the onset when the investigation process started. And the bottom line is that we are not going to be deterred. And this is coming, I have to say this, after threats, and after threat to life by militants, by different text messages, calls, and etc. Threats had failed. So the next agenda to stop the legislative work is blackmail. And I can say it categorically, we are more determined to work for the people of the Niger Delta more than ever before. I can say it, there is no 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 10 trillion, anything. It does not exist. Maybe it only exists in the figment of their own imagination. Please, the National Assembly does not award contract. So, and I'm surprised that anybody will award a job that is not in the budget. I'm surprised about that. And I've gone through the 2020 budget as approved. And I can tell you point blank that in the 2020 budget, there is no provision, there is nothing like emergency training in the 2020 budget. Nothing like that. That is not in the budget. So I don't know what he's talking about. And I've said it before, and let me repeat for the up time. I do not have a single contract in Nddc. They started with a 17-kilometer road which they couldn't substantiate. Now they've come up with another thing. We're only expecting more things, and only God knows what they will come up with again. I don't have any contract in Nddc. I have never been a contractor to Nddc. I have never worked for Nddc. I've never been paid by Nddc for anything. So I am the chairman of this committee by the grace of God. I know the responsibility on my shoulders. And I know that the Niger Delta is looking up to us for succor. Niger Delta is looking up to us for intervention. Niger Delta is looking up to us for help. Niger Delta is looking up to us for a greater tomorrow. We will not mortgage the future of the Niger Delta people for the sake of our today. That will never happen. I don't have a contract, and I repeat it again. I don't have a contract. And it is an indictment on their part if they claimed that there was an award for an unbudgeted item. That is a serious offense that I think the National Assembly must look into. I listened to the interview yesterday. I think they said we inflated the budget. Number one, I have to say this, the budget was not inflated. I will show you some documents. And when this was the budget this was this overview of the revenue profile that Nddc brought. A budget of 409 billion, revenue of 409 billion, 883 million was brought by Nddc. As a responsible parliament, saddled with the responsibility of appropriation as guaranteed under Section 81 of the Constitution, we sat down to look at how realistic this revenue profile is. You cannot spend money that you don't have. So we needed to be sure of the revenue profile for us to be able to adequately and appropriately appropriate in tune with global best practices. And I will tell you what we did. This is what we ended up with. And I will tell you how we came about it. For example, the federal government contribution to the NDDC's budget, which is statutory transfer, it's not a secret. Statutory transfer by federal government to NDDC is always itemized in the Appropriation Act of the federal government for that particular fiscal year. For the 2019 fiscal year, the amount that was appropriated by the federal government, signed by President Muhammadu Buhari in the budget, was 100,188,900,000 naira, as against a proposal by them of 128,683,000,000 naira. Where are you going to raise the extra 28 billion from? Are you going to manufacture money? You cannot manufacture money, and it is budgetary indiscipline for you to overstate your revenue profile. Because once your revenue profile is defective, appropriation becomes faulty. And once appropriation becomes faulty, implementation becomes impossible. So as a responsible parliament, we needed to bring that 128 billion down to the approved 100 billion in the 2019 Appropriation Act of Government. Number two, they said federal government contribution, unpaid arrears by federal government. They stated it as 35 billion. And take a look. The budget of Nigeria, it's an open document. Take a look at it. You can go to www.budgetoffice.gov.ng. It's online. And look at the budgetary provision. It was 0 for unpaid arrears. Yet you stated 35 billion. As a responsible parliament, some of us came from a wide consulting background in the private sector. And we said, you cannot appropriate 35 billion that is not existing. What? So in tune with this, the budget, well, it means the budget revenue proposal submitted to us by NDDC was inflated unjustifiably to the tune of 63 billion naira. So for us to be able to appropriate, we told them when they came for budget defense, precisely on the 10th of December 2019, this is impossible. You can't spend money that is not yours. Money that you don't have, you don't spend it. You can't give what you don't have. This budget will have to be reviewed to a realistic point. That's why the budget was reviewed downwards to 346 billion 388,900,000 naira. This is in line with the reality of the revenue available. So the issue of inflation of budget, it is not just despicable, it is mostly uncharitable. Nothing like that happened. Then number two, the power of appropriation as guaranteed under the Constitution lies with the National Assembly. Not a single project. I heard he said that Mr. President's regional projects were removed. I can tell you, not a single project, not one. And I stand to be quoted. This is their proposed 2019 budget that they brought. Take a look at this budget and take a look at the signed approved budget. Not a single project was removed from the budget. But once you have overstated your revenue, if your revenue changes, your expenditure must change. And that was what happened. Also, he spoke about balkanization of the project. May I inform you that the percentage of new projects in the NDDC's budget, I'll give you the document before you go, is just 9.2% of the entire NDDC's budget. And by every standard, I don't see that as balkanization. 9.2% of the entire NDDC's budget. So the issue of balkanization of the budget does not in any way arise. And also, I have to put this on record. All these accusations are coming because the National Assembly decided to institute a probe after calls and different petitions. And blackmail threats had been used as a weapon to stop the National Assembly. That has not worked. Then the latest one is this issue of sheer blackmail. We have told them, if you have any document against me, please release such documents, or better still, rather than unnecessary throwing of tantrums, approach the relevant security and anti-corruption agencies. But the National Assembly will not be deterred from doing its work. We owe our loyalty to the Nigerian people. And as a committee, we owe our loyalty to the people of the Niger Delta that have been deprived over the years. And we say this time around, we must have a commission that will work, not just for the people, it must work for everybody in the Niger Delta.